My friends, good day. Sorry to bother you. I made a video about those words that destroy your credibility, those words that harm your message. Sorry to bother you. Actually, these are words you should never use. There is no use case, there is no business scenario where you can justify using this kind of words. So, since it's the usual thing on this channel, I'm going to talk about it in a professional context. But you should know that even in a private context, it's bad, don't use them. The only difference I want to tell you, the only difference I might want to highlight, is that normally, in a private context, with friends, with family, we're not constantly being judged. All right, normally, I said normally. Okay, so normally we're not constantly being judged. And that means we can maybe allow ourselves to be vulnerable about certain things without someone attacking us about it or using it against us. Unfortunately, in the workplace, it's not the same. In the workplace, you are constantly judged. You are constantly evaluated, compared, and even some evaluations end up in reports. In human resources, your manager, the manager is paid for that. He's paid to write reports about you, you see. And so if you use certain words in meetings, in conversations with your peers, with clients, all that, you're going to give yourself that bad impression. And what's going to happen is that for sure it will be written in your file. Yes, lack of self-confidence, lack of, how do you say in English, assertiveness. He's not assertive enough or she's not assertive enough. You see, when she speaks, yeah, we've all known people like that. She speaks even when she's right. You can feel her eyes are panicked. You see her body language. So even when she's saying something true, she feels like she's talking nonsense. The result is a lack of confidence. That means on one hand, we can't give you big responsibilities. So promotions, forget it. That's never going to happen in your life because we're not going to promote you if you're not confident, if you can't do it. I almost want to tell you that in the business world, with all the hypocrisy there is in the corporate environment, if anything, someone who talks nonsense all the time but is confident will get by much better than someone who's the opposite. That means someone who says true things but is always hesitating, panicking. So my unacceptable thing is, sorry to bother others. Don't start your remarks like that. You can start by saying, I'd like to tell you something. I'd like to share something with you. Or if you're in a meeting, when it's your turn to speak, don't say, sorry to bother you. No. I think I have an idea I'd like to share with you. And I think it's an angle we should consider today because we've worked on a lot of angles. But this one, in my opinion, from my professional experience, could help us move this situation forward. So already mentally, you've prepared the people. It's like an ad. Imagine an ad comes on, I don't know, they want to sell you a bottle of wine. They say, yes, we're sorry. But this wine, you can use it as a furniture stripper. You can use it to unclog sinks, all that. It's a wine that smells like vinegar, etc. All right, okay, that's nice, but you've already ruined your product. You see, look at how ads work. Look at how marketing always uses superlatives, very often for products that don't deserve them, but they don't go around ruining their own products. Another thing, a phrase I've seen often, someone is listening in a meeting, they're there, and then they don't understand something. It's normal, it can happen to anyone not to understand. I'll tell you something. It happened to me once in a meeting. We were talking about something. Then at one point I said, let me stop you. I'd like to ask a question. For a while now, we've been talking about this product or this issue. I addressed the person who brought up the issue and asked, can you clarify this in such and such a way? The question I asked him was a basic fundamental question. And you know what? Everyone thanked me for asking the question. Actually, sometimes people are afraid to ask the question. Sometimes they're like, I say, what's going on? I don't understand anything he's saying. The guy, what's the issue? What's the problem he's bringing up? It's normal. It's okay. It's okay. And in that case, I'm telling you, there were 12 or 15 of us in the room. When I asked the question, people said, yes, thanks for asking. What? And then the person realized that they hadn't explained at all what it was about. They started as if someone began telling you a story from the middle. All right, so don't hesitate to ask questions. But what you should never do in these situations, I've seen it often. Sorry, I might be a bit slow, but could you explain to me what you mean by that term, or maybe start the story again from the beginning? Maybe I'm a bit slow. I'm sorry. I mean, you know me. We've known each other for a long time. I'm a nice guy, more or less, if you want, if you say so. If a colleague says in a business environment, I'm slow, I guarantee you I'll put that label on him. I'm not better than anyone else, but basically it doesn't come from me. The guy says, I'm slow. Well, you're slow, you're slow. Bam, I put the slow label on him until he later proves his intellectual worth. Never use that on yourself. Don't say, I'm slow. All right? It's fine too. There's no problem saying, I have. Sorry to interrupt, all right? You interrupt people sometimes. You have to interrupt. It's not a problem. You can say, especially if, sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. If you interrupt people, if you're afraid they'll perceive it, they might see it as they're cutting you off machine. Sometimes you have to cut people off when they get carried away. In a 1 hour meeting, someone might talk for 37 minutes. At some point, you have to step in. If you interrupt people, just acknowledge something psychological and valid about what they're saying. That's all. Sorry to interrupt you. I saw that you were discussing this aspect, this aspect. I'd just like us to take the time to talk about that side as well. You see, look, it's not the same thing. I'll stop you. Sorry to interrupt you. I'd like to talk about this side of the story. You see, that's a double interruption. First, I silence you and then I stop your topic. But if I say sorry to interrupt you, I noticed you were talking about this subject. There are some extremely interesting points. I'm aware of the time passing. I'd like us to approach this problem from this angle. I'd like us to discuss this and that solution. You see what I mean? And people who are acting in good faith look and say, oh yeah, I'm sorry, we got a little carried away. We're very passionate about this topic, but you're absolutely right. Go ahead, I'll let you speak. You see what I mean? He has no problem with that. Okay, sometimes we can be sorry, sometimes, but we can always interrupt others, but always do it with women. However, don't interrupt by saying sorry for bothering or I'm stupid or something like that. And I find that quite serious. It's people who say they're listening, like we're in a meeting, so they're listening like this, then they have an idea, they arrow, there's an interesting idea now. It's like that. So listen, it's definitely a bad idea. Definitely a bad idea. Or the variant, I'm sorry, it's really a stupid idea. I'll tell you something stupid. Okay, well, I mean, if you're going to say something stupid, why should we listen to you? But honestly, you yourself, you're admitting that right there you got caught. We're in a meeting. We've all pushed ourselves to the max. All of us, our intelligence at its highest, at least on paper. We're trying to give it our all, intellectually, cognitively. We're really trying to find real solutions to our problems. You, somewhere deep inside, you have some silly thing from your own experience, some dumb thought that comes up, and you want to interrupt us to share it. I mean, why are you doing this to us? All right? You're going to make all of us look dumb collectively because you're going to say it and people will take you at your word. Never testify against yourself. Remember, the Fifth Amendment of the American Constitution, self-incrimination. Never testify against yourself. All right? So don't start with that. Why do people say, I'm going to say something stupid before speaking? What's the reason for that? Because they're afraid of rejection. They're afraid of rejection. So what do they prefer to do? So by saying it like that, look, what is it? His fear when he wants to share his idea, he's afraid it will be rejected, maybe not so harshly, but will use words to make him feel that his idea is worthless. Basically, your idea, honestly, I don't even know why you thought of that. They're afraid of that kind of rejection. So what do? They prefer to go ahead and judge their idea harshly themselves. So they already say, you know, I'll tell you something. But I admit that my idea is silly, which means that if you think my idea is silly, go ahead and say it. And then I won't be offended because I've already accepted it myself. Already it's an admission of defeat right from the start. And so you say that secretly hoping that someone will reply, I've already heard things sillier than that. You want people to help you a bit. Don't do that. Don't do that. It doesn't make any sense. So maybe at some point in your career, maybe, I don't know, you felt the need to do that, or you felt a little uncomfortable about doing that, all of that, because you were uncomfortable really, genuinely, that means, I don't know, you just got out of college, it's your first job, you were really uncomfortable. Okay, but that's not a reason to keep going like that 20 years later in your career. At some point, you have to start developing. Be confident, be confident, stand behind your ideas. Why? And another reason is because in the business world, what we want is for people to stand behind their ideas. I'll tell you right now why. It's not what you think. It's not necessarily, look, it's not necessarily just personal, just because we appreciate people who stand behind their ideas. It's not just because it looks or sounds good. That's not the real reason, I'm telling you. I'm telling a story. Maybe I'm African. I had a buddy who was on a plane with an instructor, and then he got the idea to go skydiving. He said, I wouldn't want to go skydiving, okay? So the parachute is there, it's on, all that. He asked the instructor, is he going to smile? The instructor said, yes, it normally opens. But wait, don't say normally. Does it open or not? Yes, theoretically. Theoretically, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't open. I'll tell you now, the jump isn't done. It's a matter, in business, it's a matter of responsibility. It means if you come up with an idea and you defend it, you're standing behind your idea. Tomorrow, someone might say to you, you know what, the other day at the meeting, you brought up that thing, your idea, we really like it, we'd like to explore it further, we'd like to implement it, could you handle that? If you're someone who stands behind your idea, you can trigger this kind of thing. People can trust you, they can say, well, we'd like to use it, we'd like to implement it. But if you yourself say, yes, sorry to bother you, maybe it's a silly idea, I'm not sure. Maybe what I'm saying is nonsense. Even if your idea had validity, even if later on people say, his idea, you know what he said earlier, he wasn't confident, but he still had a very interesting, very original solution. I like it. We won't give it to you, we'll take it from you. And then we get into it. In this context, we say, oh, but they stole my ideas in the company. Yes, sometimes your ideas get stolen. Why? Because of the way you presented your idea. Of course, there are cases where, well, they're just going to screw you over, right? There's the case where you come in with your idea, you defend it, everything is solid, but sometimes the boss prefers the person who takes the idea. It happens. I've seen it. I'm not trying to gaslight anyone by saying if someone took your idea, it's your fault. But I'm telling you that sometimes that's what happens. Sometimes someone has an idea and the idea is intellectually and operationally interesting, but the person doesn't seem to stand behind their idea. So we either prefer to reject the idea or give it to someone else who can carry it better, who can defend it better and see it through to the end by being responsible. Really, you see, that's the thing too, right? It's this kind of psychological detail that's important. In any case, thank you for listening up to this point, and I'll see you in the next video. See you very soon.